Alright guys, what is going on? It is Gis, and I am back at you with another budget guide, this time for Araxxor. I was doing some Aya skipping, and I hit a spider task, and I figured, what the heck, let's go get an Araxxor guide out for everybody. So I'm in a pretty budget setup, as per usual, to get you guys started. Let me go ahead and explain the gear that we got, and sort of my thought process behind some of these things. I think the first thing that a lot of people will notice is a light bearer. I know a lot of Iron Men won't have this. A Berserker Ring is totally fine. A Berserker Ring imbued will give you a max hit in this setup, if not 2. I believe it is 2, so you can go ahead and use that. I have the DPS calc over on another screen. I'll get to that in a second. But the reason I'm going to be bringing Lightbearer is because these Burning Claws are like really, really good at Araxxor. And I think over the duration of your trip, the Lightbearer will have more damage behind it than the Berserker Ring imbued would. And it's really hard to calculate that. You'll just have to take my word for it, but they're very, very potent, especially in more budget setups, because they have sort of this bad luck mitigation mechanic behind them, where it's very rare for you to hit just a full whiff. You'll at least be doing like a third of their damage, plus you get that burn all the time. It's just super nice. Really, really recommend you pick up a pair of Burning Claws if you do not have them already. These things are still very accurate. I didn't have any problems whatsoever on my first little test kill that I did. We got a 216 on my first little test kill. Like, that's totally fine. It's not a big deal in a budget setup. So for the weapon, we are just running the Zamorak Hosta. Make sure it is on Crush. That is very important. If you don't put it on Crush, it's going to feel like really, really bad. So make sure you put it on Crush. We have a simple Fire Cape, simple Slayer Helm imbued, Strength Ammy, Torso, some Torag's legs. Reason we're on Torag's legs is a bit twofold. I wanted to test some things, but I'll pull up the calculator for you real quick just so you can see the difference between Torag's plate legs and the Bandos Tacets, one of which this is sort of out of reach for Iron Man, and it's sort of in the higher budget, and honestly you really don't want this in your bank because you can just use Blood Moon Tacets and wait until you can get Oath plate legs. You really would just never buy these anymore, but I wanted to further prove the point that it's only one max hit over here, as you can see, which barely increases our damage, and what you really can look at here if you don't understand any of this stuff is just our time to kill, this TTK right here. So it'll take us about 2 minutes on average to kill Araxxor in this setup, and oh hey, guess what, about 2 minutes to kill Araxxor in this setup. So if you have Bandos Tacets, obviously they do have a max hit, and they are just about as tanky as the Torag's legs, but say your only option was like a Rune Plate leg or something like that, or, I don't know, Blood Moon Tacets even. Blood Moon Tacets aren't very tanky. The Torag's plate legs offer us a little bit of extra tankiness because we have options when it comes to the green Araxite that spawns. We will be forced to tank range hits. Sometimes they're off tick, but I'm going to assume you guys aren't going to bother with that. So you're either going to be killing the green spider or you're going to be tanking the green spider. And the Torag's legs will help us just a wee bit with tanking if that's the route that you want to go. You don't want to worry about it, don't want to think about it, that's fine. All the rest of the gear is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's just hit the boss with the best strength bonus you can muster for your Hosta. Some improvements to this. I believe the next upgrade would be a bludgeon, and then a Inquisitor's Mace, and then a Soul Reaper Axe, and then a Scythe in order of least to most expensive. Alternatives, you can use the dual Machwidals, you can use a Sarachnis Cudgel if you're like really hurting, but I think a Hosta should be well within your means on both Iron and as a main. You can just pop one of these, it's not that big of a deal. Obviously upgrade where you can, but this is like super basic setup. So let me explain the ranged thing going on here real quick. So when we get into Araxxor, there's going to be eggs around, and there's 3 different types of Araxites that Araxxor can spawn. There's going to be one that'll blow up, there's going to be one that will reflect the damage that you do to Araxxor back at you, while also killing that Araxite, and there's going to be one that just shoots ranged attacks at you during the fight. So ideally what we want to do is with the one that explodes on us, we can actually explode it on Araxxor, and I'll show you that in the kill, for a good bit of damage. For the ranged one, we have 2 options. We can either bring an explosive Araxite over to its egg to kill it, or we can wait for it to spawn and kill it, or we can just tank it. For the Mirrorback, you can follow the same rule. Either you can explode a red spider on its egg, or you can shoot it, or you can use Vengeance and kill it with a melee weapon. But you don't want to ignore it, usually. The only time you would really ignore the Mirrorback is if you're like really late into Enrage phase and you're probably going to kill the boss in like 1 or 2 autos anyway. Make sure you get rid of the Mirrorback. Do what you will with the ranged one. It's not that big of a deal. You might just have to eat a couple more food here and there. You might lose some DPS. But the reason we can bring the Crossbow is that they take a guaranteed max hit. The little baby spiders will take a guaranteed max hit from a heavy ranged weapon, so the ballista or a crossbow, or a crush weapon, or the Noxious Halberd, which is also a valid weapon if you want to bring that here as well. So we want to make sure we're guaranteed the max hit, and the Sunlight Crossbow is just the fastest way for us to do that in a budget setup. If you do have a Ballista, I believe if you bring an Anguish, a Quiver, and Prey Rigor, on accurate, you will kill the spiders in one shot from a Ballista, but I'm going to keep that out of budget because it requires an Anguish, it requires a Quiver, it requires Rigor, so that's out of the budget. We're going to keep it like sub 10 mil, ideally, I think is where I would like to keep all my budget stuff. So the mechanics of Araxxor aren't all that complex. For the most part, it's just a tank and spake boss. So the only thing I really have to explain to you is the spiders. Araxxor is just going to melee us. We protect melee, we tank it. That's all we can do there. Every 6 attacks, it'll do a special attack determined by the southeasternmost egg. You don't really have to think about this that much. You can sort of just react to it when it happens. If it is a red egg in the southeast, then he will spit an acid at you, and you will have to walk it out for 6 ticks. And I'll show you a couple ways of dealing with that while you're getting used to the boss. If he has the mirror back in the corner, I think that one is just like a random splatter of acid on the floor, and you just sort of avoid it. And then if it's the green one in the corner, he does like a missile of acid at his corner, and you just have to walk 2 tiles, or run 2 tiles rather, out of the way, and you'll be fine. I'll show you that in the kill. It'll make more sense in the kill. I'll obviously put up the clips here that I normally do so you guys can see what I'm talking about a little bit, and then when we get in there, it can sort of reinforce in your mind. You'll see the mechanic happening and know what you need to do. That's just going to loop throughout the whole fight. However long it takes you, he'll just spawn eggs like as you go. They're just in a set order, preset order. There's 3 different orders. You, again, don't really need to worry about that. It's not that big of a deal. You can just react to it. When he gets to below 25% HP, though, he will then enter his Enrage phase. His Enrage phase will take his attack to a 4-tick attack speed, and he will instead target the ground where your character was standing at the time that his attack was scanned, basically. And that attack will be in a row of 3. So it's a 1x3. So if I'm standing here, he's going to target my square and the 2 tiles adjacent to me. So I need to make sure I'm not standing on any of these 3 squares when that attack lands, right? So what do I need to do? I either move 2 tiles this way, or I move 2 tiles this way. I can't stand there because there's a mushroom, but you'll have plenty of room in the fight. That's just going to happen. He'll leave 3 poison tiles on those tiles, so you can use them again if you need to in a pinch, but you don't want to stand on them, right? So ideally, you want to sort of manipulate him in a way where you have free reign to move around. Another thing you can do here once you're comfortable, I'll show you that method of just like running around him, making sure you're chilling. If you step under him when he targets your square, when he targets your tile, he will take damage at the same time. So he'll damage himself for like a 10, and you'll be out of the way. And there's a really easy way for us to do this that I'll show you in the fight. So before we get into it, what I want you guys to do, I want you to download the menu entry swapper plugin and make sure you have shift-click walk here ticked, because we're going to be using that a little bit in this fight. It helps a bunch. I promise you, you're going to want it. If you are anti-plugin, I promise you're going to want this. You don't have to use this. You can always do this. If you want to right-click walk here and that's just comfortable for you, you can. But the shift-click walk here makes it a little bit more seamless, a little bit nicer. And that's sort of all the mechanics for Araxxor at a glance. If anything comes up during the kill, I'll fill you in. But for the most part, this fight is not that bad. It's just a tank and spake, and it's a getting used to the Enrage phase. And I think once you get used to the Enrage phase, it's really just not a big deal. And a lot of people I know do get frustrated at the Acid Walk, and I'm going to show you a really, really simple way to, 1, keep your DPS up, and still deal with the Acid Walk. All right, so let's jump in there. I go ahead and pre-pop my anti-venom. The inventory, self-explanatory. We are on Arceus book. We're going to be using Thralls and Death Charge. Thralls is probably the bigger thing here. You don't have to use Death Charge if you don't want to. It is just very nice to keep your DPS uptime, especially if you've done Yama a little bit and have double Death Charge, because you're going to be killing those little spiders a little bit, and you'll be killing Araxxor at the end of the fight. So you can make a pretty good use of Death Charge here. And obviously in a more budget setup, Thralls are always, that should be a question in your mind. If you're in a budget setup, Thralls are about equivalent to 0.625 DPS, which is like putting like 1 or 2 max hits on your weapon, maybe 1.5 max hits on your weapon. So that's super nice to bring these guys. Maybe I'll do a second kill showing you what I mean with the Vengeance thing, but I think Thralls and Death Charge are a little bit better personally, and you can just shoot the mirror back spider and it's fine. All right. I believe that's it. Bring any form of anti-venom with you, super combat potion, prayer potion, food, teleport out, thralls, and your book. Any heavy ranged weapon, preferably the sunlight crossbow. If you can't bring the sunlight crossbow, you can use a rune crossbow or something like that. We're just doing this for tick efficiency because it's a 3-tick weapon. Okay? Okay, let's go. So when you walk in, I have 2 tiles marked. This is just where the boss spawns, and you can stand on either side. So for now, we're just going to summon a Thrall. I'm going to go ahead and drop a Shark here and just rip all my specials. I know this guy's going to spawn eventually, and then Araxxor will do the special attack on me that I'll have to walk out. So what you want to do for these guys is go ahead and run over to the other side here. Try and line up its southwest tile with you, and when it gets to you, you just want to run 4 tiles away, and you're good. Now check this out. When we're poisoned, we can go under, attack, under, attack, just like that. So all that movement is holding shift basically the whole time, and you get a hit, you step under, you click attack, step under, click attack in a diagonal, right? Because that way your character will push itself out, and you will be safe from the poison, like you just saw right there, that little zigzag pattern. And you'll get used to that. Alternatively, you can do this, so check this out. We can just control walk around. You can take 1 hit here or there if you need to, and just walk it out like normal. No big deal. Also, if you want, you don't like this guy, you can just go ahead and do this. If you step too far away, you'll take a mage hit, which I just did right there because I forgot I had a left click on. It's my own fault. And then same thing for the mirror back. You can just shoot this guy a couple times. We'll have to walk it out again. That's fine. Sort of an ugly kill because I'm talking. I'll do a quiet kill next, but we should be in Enrage in a moment. We'll go ahead and catch this guy over here. So I'm going to just stand here, and I'm going to start running now, because he can do some big damage to me, and I don't like that. So for Enrage, you can just do this. When you see Scree, just move 2 tiles. Really nothing to it here. I'll show you an alternative in the next kill, where you can do a step under, sort of like doing the acid walk anyway. Let me do a no-talkie kill, so I can actually show you a nice kill. And there's a quick 120k. Alright, I'm going to shut up and do a kill for you and get a good example kill for my clips now. But he spawns pretty quick. We didn't death charge, but if you can see if we did death charge, we're still back at 100%, so we're just going to rip all these. So now he's going to do the missile. And again, if you want... I did it again, bro. I have the... I have left click off. It's fine. So he'll explode over there, but that's fine. And then you'll see a little animation. Just move 2 tiles, and he'll do that way. And you can move back to your spot. That's it. So we know the mirror back is going to come up. If you want, you can pre-destroy these eggs, but it's just going to go to the next one in the cycle, so you don't really need to do that. You can just wait for it to spawn. Switch to your weapon. We took a little bit of a reflect there. He's going to do the thing again. Just get ready to move 2 tiles. You should see an animation. You'll see him like twitch. Like that. And then just move 2 tiles. And we should get an explodey guy coming up. Stand right here so I can catch him. It's based on distance to boss, so the closest... If this thing is overlapping Araxxor in any way, you'll get the full damage. Otherwise, you'll get a little bit reduced damage. But either way is good. Free 80 damage. So there's a little twitch. Alright, and now I want to show you the Scree. So if we stand under, Scree, click. Stand under, Scree, click. Stand under, Scree, click. Stand under, Scree, click. Same thing. I should have pre-moved. I'm a bit rusty, it is what it is. So if you want to do this, you can. If you just want to run around, you can run around. Because sometimes that'll happen, but it's good to practice. I'm just very out of practice because I don't do this boss very often. That's sort of it for Araxxor, though. I mean, there's not much to... not much else to tell here. Just play better than me, because I'm playing really bad. Rip all your specs at the start, make sure you're thralling. Make sure you keep that anti-venom up. As you can see, Burning Claws go kind of crazy. Just ripped him pretty solid chunk of damage. Whenever this one spawns first, I always like to move over to this side, just because it's easier to deal with. And once it reaches us, as per usual, we just move 2 tiles, or we run 2 tiles away. And now we get to do the step under. Simple as shift-click, walk here, and then attack the boss. That's all that is, in a little diagonal pattern. So you'd start here, attack the boss, shift-click to here, attack the boss, you'll get moved to here, shift-click to here, attack the boss, you'll get moved to there, shift-click to here, attack the boss, and it's over. And of course, we can just shoot this guy. You can also do this manually, if you don't have your Hosta equipped. You can just do that manually. But as you can see, the little Araxxite can do a decent bit of damage. Always reposition yourself if you need to. Cast Death Charge while you shoot this. He'll do this again, and we'll do the same thing. We can just do it wherever. That's it. And we'll put these Burning Claws on and rip them again. Because we can. We still have Death Charge up. We will not get kill credit for the explosive spider, so. So if your screes are a little awkward, again, you do not have to be afraid to just do this. And that's sort of it. That's Araxxor in a nutshell, guys. Upgrade where you can, and click the boss. That's kind of all there is to it. So, that's all I can really tell you about Araxxor. Let me go get the lunar set up, and I'll show you what I was talking about. Okay, I didn't realize Hosta didn't count, so I'm erasing that clip. I now have a crushed weapon in my inventory, though. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this does what I want it to do. Alright, let's run around to the mirror back. See if I can do what I would like to do here. So you have to time the Vengeance with your auto. So wait for Araxxor. Hit it, XP drop, hit Vengeance. Make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. But that's sort of all you have to do. I waited to take there, whoops. You do have to have a crush weapon for that to work. Like an actual main... The main style of the weapon is crush. If it's not a main style crush weapon, it's not going to work. And that's sort of the end of it. There's not much else to Araxxor. I personally prefer the Thrall setup with Death Charge just because getting your Burning Claws off more is good. I mean, with the Lightbearer that you get to camp, it's sort of ridiculous how many specs you can get per trip there. So that's going to help your kills a lot. I highly recommend just doing the Thrall with Death Charge setup because it just does a lot of damage, man. And if you don't have an Ultor or any of those like super high tier rings, the Lightbearer is just better. It's just straight up better, and it's straight up better in a lot of situations. So don't underestimate Lightbearer plus like Burning Claws or any other decent DPS spec weapon. That's sort of it for the budget Araxxor guide. Hope you get some kills out there. Good luck on your Fang, good luck on your Halberd, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one.